Hey folks, and welcome to War Thunder with Flying Dodo. It's been a while since my last upload. Took a break from War Thunder, had some real life stuff come up, but I've been back playing for a few days. In my last video, flying the P-51A, I mentioned I'd be putting up a video of the A-36 to see how it compared. So to get back into War Thunder, I thought I'd fly out the A-36 a few times and see if I could get you some footage that would showcase the A-36's strengths and weaknesses. With the P-51A, I started and stayed at pretty low altitude, relying on its speed to keep me out of trouble. While the A-36 is fast, it's not fast enough to get away from many planes it will face before getting shot down in level flight. What I have found is that climbing and using its rather good energy retention to work my way down in it works better than just trying to rely on its level speed and engine power. Now this is a mixed battle, which in a way will help showcase this plane's abilities because of the different flying characteristics of various nations. In any case, here I begin my dive on a Yak-1, reaching 800 km per hour indicated airspeed and still have some reasonable amount of control. I hit him a few times and he lawn darts, that's kill number 1. I pull completely out of the dive and begin my attack on the Ki-45, going just a tad too fast to get a good beat on him. So I pull my normal maneuver to get above and behind while retaining as much energy as I can and dive back down. I'm able to stay behind him for a moment, damaging his plane, then flip back up and over for one more pass, losing most of my energy advantage in this final maneuver. However, I'm able to slide in behind him, follow him in that left-hand turn, light him on fire and take his wing off. That's kill number 2. I climb steeply away and assess what's coming in. I see an enemy IL-2 that's decided to land on our runway. Not sure what he's doing, but possibly trying to cap. Probably just came over from arcade battles or something. There's a Spit coming in that I know I can outdive if I have altitude, and a Ki-61 that makes me a tad nervous, as it is a bit faster than my A-36 and dives nearly as well. I level off and turn to face them and go for the low-flying Spit, hoping my 2 teammates coming in will be able to engage the Ki-61 before he can take me down. As you can see, at low altitude and a slight dive, the A-36 really can pick up some speed quite quickly. I'm working at keeping both an energy and altitude advantage over this Spit, and while I don't believe this plane has the same flight model as the P-51A, it can maneuver fairly well. I forced the Spit into the ground, so I am counting that as kill number 3. The Ki-61 had made a pass at me during my attack on the Spit, but my teammates had engaged him now, so I'm confident that I can avoid his shots while he's trying to avoid theirs. I drop to pick up some speed and pull the Ki-61 along in an attempt to continue the bait for my teammates, picking up some good speed as I go. Now, the IL-2 is just too juicy of a target, and the sooner I kill him, the sooner he can get back to arcade battles or at least read about how base capture works in realistic battles. That's kill 4, but it's pretty much a mercy killing. The Ki-61 is still following me but seems a poor shot, so I turn in hard to give my teammates a slower target. I turn in under his trajectory to keep him from hitting me, and his change in direction gives my teammates a much better target. The P-39 and P-400 make short work of him. Now, I see an H-8K heading back to its ships and decide to intercept. I know better than to get behind one of these, so move to make a side or front intercept line. While I'm moving to intercept, let me touch again on this plane's similarities and dissimilarities to the P-51A. As I mentioned earlier, I do not think the A-36 has the same flight model as the P-51A. It feels closer to the P-51 cannon stang in maneuverability. There are times it simply doesn't want to continue a roll, or the instructor will make it do something random and stupid and weird. It is, as I mentioned, fairly fast at low altitude, does have good energy retention, and turns well enough. Back to the H-8K, the P-400 and P-39 are also moving to catch him. I take a parallel line about 1.25 kilometers out from the H-8K, and you can see I'm reaching over 500 kilometers per hour in level speed at this deck. As soon as I see the bomber's gunners firing at my teammates, I move in to engage. I begin firing at about 700 meters. I want to get as many bullets into this thing as I can before its gunners focus on me. Eventually, my 50 cals blow off a wing. That's 4th official kill, but 5 by my count. Low on ammo now, I'm headed back to the airfield to reload. So let's talk about this plane a little more on the way over there. As you can see, it has a reasonable 180-degree flat turn time, keeps its energy fairly well, and is quick to pick back up energy after it's lost it. While I did climb to over 5 kilometers initially, it was only to start with an energy advantage where I could, because this thing's engine peckers out at just over 2 kilometers, so don't try to engage anything at higher altitudes in this plane. The guns are what they are. They're 50 cals. There's 4 in the wings, there's 2 in the nose. I think they've been screwing around with 50 cal ammo and damage models without telling us, because I've crit the tails of multiple British aircraft with 50s lately, and they kept flying fine, whereas my tail crits end me in lawn darting. In any case, it's a good thing American planes have a lot of ammo, because you never know if you're going to blow a wing off with 150 cal or dump a registered 30 or 40 50 cal shells into something and have it fly away from you. Back to the game. As you know, this map is kind of biased, at least in terms of time running out, in favor of the Allied side. Since this was a mixed battle and I was on the Japanese side, I knew we had to finish the last 2 bombers before our time ran out. I had seen one of the enemy bombers out near our carriers, so after taking off, I headed that direction. I was going to take this bomber down even if I had to ram it to try to win this match. Here again, the reasonably good speed of this plane in low altitude flight suits this plane for exactly what I'm about to do with it, which is intercept what I see now as both remaining bombers on the enemy team at low altitude. Also, this plane is fairly rugged and can handle quite a bit of abuse, especially when compared to the Mustang D variants. With leaking oil and water, you can nurse this thing back across an entire map as big as Korea and make a safe landing. As I said, I saw that both the bombers were together, and with time running out, I knew I had to finish both of them as soon as I could, and at whatever cost. I find that on most bombers, at least ones without heavy armament up front that's controlled by the pilot, head-ons with bombers are generally the safest. I move into an intercept line that will put me in a head-on with the Welly, and what I see now is an HE-111. I see that the Welly is smoking, so decide to put a few into him first to try and finish him with the help of the damage he's already sustained before turning my attention to the HE-111. I start firing at just under a kilometer, wanting to get as many bullets into it as I can as it passes. There you see a tail control crit, and you might notice it continues to fly fairly well without tail control, which is something I mentioned earlier. I'm hoping though that even if I die to the HE-111 as I take it down, the tail crit on the Welly will put it down before we run out of time. I turn to attack the HE-111. Normally, staying behind a bomber is a bad idea due to the tail gunners, but the HE-111 has relatively crappy defensive armament. I put what feels like 300 or 450 cals into the HE-111 before it dies. No idea what the official killing shot was, but there we have it. As you can see, the plane, and especially the engine, has taken quite a bit of punishment from the HE-111, but it keeps on ticking, at least long enough to turn back on the Welly to make sure it dies. A few more 150 cals into it and I kill the pilot, really not too long before we would have lost the tickets. So as you can see, this is a capable multi-role aircraft, and I've really enjoyed figuring out how I like to fly it. I do fly it differently than the P-51A because they have some very different characteristics, but they do share some energy retention and, to a lesser degree, low altitude level top speed. I hope you've enjoyed this video on the A-36, and have a great day.